皆さんこんにちは、ながまるです。今回はなんとカルダノカードの運営チームに独占インタビューをすることができたので、こちらを皆様にお届けしていこうと思います。日本のマーケットをカルダノカード自身がどのように捉えているか、そして最新情報で、そしてカルダノカードの概要から今後の展開まで全て網羅した内容になっているので、ぜひ最後までご覧ください。ちょっと拙い英語にはなりますけど、頑張ってインタビューしたので、最後までご覧いただけますと嬉しいです。それではインタビューをどうぞ。
Hi, Neto.Thank you so much for joining us today on my YouTube channel. Let's start the interview. Can you tell me the Cardono card overview?
Yes, absolutely. And thanks for inviting me and sharing through the questions. It's a pleasure to be talking to you. So my name is Nate. I work at Emergo and working on the cards business. About 3 weeks ago, we launched the interest form for Cardono card. We've had a really big kind of uptake in registrations, a lot of interest, a lot of questions, a lot of cool designs people have submitted. We're very excited to launch a Cardono card. And what I'd like to do is take you through maybe 4 reasons why in this competitive market, when there's cards being issued by or launched by Gemini, MetaMask, Coinbase, why should we, use a Cardono card, and what's the purpose? So let's break it down into 4 parts. The first thing is the Cardono card is, yes, it has ADA at the core, and it's very much something that you should use. You can stake. The intention is to borrow, use your ADA as collateral and borrow stablecoins, but ultimately you're not restricted to ADA. It's a Cardono card with multi-chain capabilities. So what does that mean? It means that you can spend Bitcoin, so ETH, USDC, USDT, and more with this card. So you're not just restricted to one token. The second part is that the intention is to be able to stake your ADA, like I mentioned, borrow stable coins using ADA-backed loans and different types of functionality within the card itself. The third part, which is attached to that, is the idea is it will be a self-custody card in phase 2. So self-custody with your wallet integrated, and the ability to use it as a savings account where you can ultimately leave your idle cash to just earn yield, and you can spend in using, your yield in everyday purchases. And the fourth part, which we believe is one of the most important parts, is the intention to donate a portion of profits to the Cardano treasury. And I think a lot of people would find this attractive because many of the cardholders would believe that Cardano is here to stay, and we want to basically continue and contribute to the long-term sustainability of the treasury. So that's the 4 kind of component, and that's how we wrap up this Cardano card, the benefits and why someone would want to get it. And there's many more things in the pipeline, but if I wanted you to take away like 4 key points today, it would be those 4.
Thank you. I have 9 question. Can I question? Okay.
Yep, go for it.
Okay. First question. How do you plan to integrate the Cardono card with existing wallets such as Yoroi, Lace, and Eternal? Will users be able to use the Cardono card directly from their self-custody wallet?
Okay, yeah, it's a great question because phase 1 is about fully custodial. Phase 2 is where we really bring in self-custody capabilities. And like you mentioned, all of the wallets that you mentioned, ideally, should be able to integrate, and then we can start enabling on-chain features, so staking and things like that. So phase 2 is firmly the self-custody phase. So you're right, that's the goal. And the wallets you mentioned are ideally the leading wallets that should be integrated, so that we can make that happen.
Okay, got it. That's really interesting. So second question. Which stablecoin are planned for initial support? In addition to USDC and USDT, do you also plan to integrate Cardano native stablecoin like USDM, JED, and USDA?
Right. So at the moment, when we talk about stablecoins and crypto cards, I think there's a misconception that people think, oh, if I get a crypto card, I have to spend in ADA or Bitcoin, and maybe I want to hold my coins and I don't want to spend them. The reality is actually nearly 80% of people who spend on crypto cards, they spend on stablecoins. And many of the cards have loan capabilities where you can use your Bitcoin, for example, as collateral, take out a loan in in stablecoins and spend that. So stablecoins is a large part of crypto card spending. And then to your point, when we talk about the Cardano stablecoins and how to kind of bring them into the real life spending and real life utility, it's true. Day one, the card will have USDC, USDT, because that's ultimately where the most integrations are when you talk about Visa, MasterCard, and these type of things. With us, we are exploring how we can bring in Cardano stablecoins, and conversation we're having as a technology provider with USDA is something that we're firmly kind of believing that can happen. And we're working through it. And we're open to speaking to all other Cardano stablecoin providers and how we can kind of fit that together. It's still early days, but ultimately that's the ambition, to be able to have a Cardano crypto card that you can spend Cardano stablecoins with in your everyday purchase.
Okay, I understand now. So, third question. Which countries or region will be included in the initial rollout of the Cardono card? Will Japan be part of the early launch phase?
Yeah, it's another great question, I think. And a lot of people have been asking, which countries does it support? I think with crypto cards in general, when we talk about issuers, some of them are very strong in the US, some of them are stronger in Asia, and then you have Europe. The goal for the Cardano card is to have global coverage. So we work with the card issuer, and the card issuer is able to have licenses and be able to legally issue cards within those markets. We're very careful about who we've been selecting as a card issuer, because we want to make sure that with, especially with Cardano, where the global distribution is so broad, and we want to be able to cover all bases. Japan being up there in terms of very much high usage of ADA, we want to be able to cover Japan in phase one, and put that in as the pilot. The US in particular, and Europe. I think the focus is that we go with an issuer that can give us a broad base, so we're able to issue the cards to the countries that we want, and maybe in a scenario where we work with the issuer where they can't support a certain market, for example, we will identify a second issuer, ideally to ensure we have coverage. So yes, the intention is to have Japan, and we actually do have a Japanese website open now to get registrations, because we want to understand the demand. And with Japan, given it's a market with specific taxation rules, we want to be able to order different. We want to be able to allow and enable different kind of options to people. So instead of spending in ADA, I had mentioned about the ADA-backed loan. So being able to take a loan against your ADA and spend in stable coins, that's something that might be of particular interest in Japan. So we're working through it. But yes, in short, Japan is number one in that kind of country list that we want to launch.
I see. That's good to know. So, fourth question. How do you plan to handle KYC and AML requirement? No need for too much detail. Just a general overview would be helpful.
Yep. So with all crypto cards, there's a KYC element, and typically so when we look at the setup of the Cardano card, we have a card issuer who manages the issuance of the card and the regulations and the licenses, and then Emergo is the distributor. So when we talk about KYC, this is something that's outsourced to a specific KYC company to ensure that we're not handling personal data ourselves. It's going through a process which many people probably have done in the past, where they need to sign up for something and there's a in-app KYC form, and then they get approved in real time. So that's something that is a standard process, but not managed by Emergo, but ultimately outsourced to a specific dedicated KYC vendor that is globally recognized.
Thank you for that overview. So, fifth question. Will the Cardono card support Apple Pay and Google Pay from the beginning, or is the plan for late update? Also, just on my personal curiosity, are you considering offering a metal card option in addition to a standard plastic one?
Oh, great. Yes. So it will start with a virtual card. The virtual card meaning you will be able to, I'll show you, you'll be able to have your Apple Wallet, and then you can basically choose the card, tap. So yeah, Apple Pay, Google Pay will be available at the beginning, and then you can click to order a physical card, which will come by post later on. So there are users who can just decide, I just want to use a virtual card. I don't want a physical, which some people do because they don't want too many cards in their wallet. Or they can order a card. And when it comes to ordering a card, the idea is we definitely want to have a premium feeling card. We definitely want to offer a metal one. And if you look at our website, we have a silver card on the homepage. That silver card ideally is our metal card that we want to be able to launch. So the goal is having a plastic one and a metal one, and basically offer both so that users can decide if they want to have a metal card like a Amex Platinum style, or just a PVC, or even for some people, if they want to just keep it virtual, because they don't want to handle too many cards, then that's an option too. So there's a couple of different ways to match the kind of behavior of the user that we're happy to kind of accommodate.
Nice. That would be cool if there are metal one. So, sixth question. We use ADA staking rewards simply by holding funds on the Cardono card. If so, could you explain how the mechanism works?
Yeah, so we had a few questions about staking on the card on social media, and given that this is largely part of phase 2, where we have self custody, it's something that we can share more in the future. But ultimately, it's the goal to be able to spend your staking rewards, so people can stake and then ideally spend the rewards that they have over time. In terms of the different pools, it's undetermined in terms of the mechanism, but ultimately we want people to have access to the same on-chain capabilities as you would in your wallet, in your self-custody wallet. So that's the goal, because we know that a large part of Cardano is about staking, and people like to do that. And we want to ensure that this card is very adaptable to people who prefer to stake, but also prefer to maybe lend out their ADA for a stablecoin back loan, or ADA back loan with stablecoins. So I think it's something that we're definitely open to, and we're working towards it. And in the future, we'll reveal exactly how that will work in terms of the staking and spending the rewards, and how to kind of use it.
Interesting. That sounds like a good feature. So, seventh question. How is the balance between privacy and usability being designed for users? What kind of policy do you have in place between full self-custody and regulatory compliance?
Yep. Okay. So when it comes to compliance and things like KYC, I think what I will do is just go back to the initial setup. So Emergo being the distributor of the cards, and a card issuer holding the licenses and having the compliance set and having the KYC separated. So ultimately, it's with a global recognized fintech provider who will cover that, who has the relationships with Visa, MasterCard, and everything, so that we're able to ensure that people are using a recognized brand in the back end, but ultimately Emergo supporting the onboarding of Web3 users into this environment. So to your question, the idea of privacy and usability for users, it should be no different from the way you use your debit cards today, with the card issuers that we have.
That's a tough challenge. Thank you for explaining how you are thinking about it. So, next question. Cardono card is said to support multi-chain assets like BTC and SOL. Are there handles via bridge or through another mechanism? I'd like to understand the security and management approach.
Yep. So for this, we offer many different. So as we mentioned, we have ADA, SOL, BTC, USDC, USDT, and ETH, and there's very different solutions for different the different set of tokens in the wallet. I think in the self-custody solution, it's very much something that you can work through in your own multi-chain wallet. At the very beginning, we'll be having a fully custodial model. So we won't be using bridges in order to kind of facilitate that, because the card issuer has a fully custodial model, which we use in phase one. And for people who want to kind of maintain control, and if they prefer self-custody, then phase two will be that multi-chain wallet integration. So we can do that. There's something that we'll reveal more in the future, and we'll have more information about exactly how to do it. But the idea is that it's seamless for the user. We don't want people to bridge and transfer things across and have to do things that you wouldn't have to do if you were just using a normal card. So ideally, we want to take crypto out of this kind of equation and just be able to say, this is a card that you can spend, you can spend with stablecoins or ADA or any token that you like. And a normal user who is not using DeFi or very much kind of advanced should be able to just use this without having too much knowledge. So that's the idea. We want convenience and ease, and that's the goal of this card, to be able to onboard people who maybe are at the beginner level and they can still use the card without having much kind of experience.
Thank you for the insight. So, nice question. Does the Cardono card aim to go beyond simple payments, such as enabling financial access, credit billings, or integration with DeFi? If so, I'd love to hear about the broader vision.
Yeah, absolutely. So the goal is, when we move into the self-custody phase, and we integrate DeFi and RWA, the goal is to enable staking rewards, to have borrowing and lending using ADA as collateral. That's something that will be in phase one. And then in the later phase, the goal is to launch a yield-bearing card. So the yield-bearing card is where users can access specific RWA and DeFi products through their account. So imagine a savings account where you can just earn yield based on the deposits and use those for daily spending. I think this combination allows us to be very competitive, but also open the doors for new users to Cardono, so they can access real-world asset products and deals that they didn't have access to previously, but the ability to then spend the yield in real-life utility. So that is the goal. We want to merge these two worlds together, and we have a lot of partnerships that we're working on now to be able to bring those specific products into the kind of marketplace, as you will, for our users to start playing with.
That's inspiring. Real-world asset with different key there. Looking forward to seeing it evolve. So, lastly, do you have a message you'd like to share with the Japanese community?
Yeah, I think this interview has it's good timing, because we have an announcement that we want to make, and we'll be making it in a few hours. So we are launching. This is inspired by the community. So over the last few weeks, we've had the community members create custom designs of the cards. And they began in a Discord channel and then kind of flowed onto X, and we've seen it. Really good design. So today we will launch a competition for everyone to submit a custom card design. And we will offer 3 winners 1,000 ADA each for the winning designs. So we're going to launch that today for a 2-week period, just under 2 weeks. And then we'll announce the winners after that. And the goal is to kind of understand, the goal is for us to understand what kind of designs does the community want to see on this card, and for people to get very creative.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thanks again for joining us today. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me, and great to speak to you again.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time.
いかがでしたでしょうか？ちょっと慣れない英語だったんで、かなり緊張して顔ガチガチになっちゃってますけど、個人的に気になった点としては、日本を、カルダノカードの初期配布の国に、含めるといったことであったり、なんと1000エーダですね。100円で計算すると、10万円ぐらいもらえる、デザインコンペが、8月11日まででしたっけあるので、ぜひ、そちらも気になった方はやられてみてもいいかもしれません。で、そして今、カルダノカードのウェブサイトに、自分の Gmail とか、メールアドレスを入力して最新情報を受け取るとか、その初期配布に乗り遅れないように、登録することができるので、こちらもお忘れなくしておいてください。で、そして他にエーダを担保にして、ステーブルコインを借りるような仕組みが提案されていたと思うんですけど、こちら、もしかすると税制上メリットになるかもしれないので、抑えられておいてもいいかもしれません。というわけで、今回は英語のインタビュー初めてでしたけど、いかがでしたでしょうか？今後もこのような新鮮な、そして、ニュースよりも早いような情報を、僕自身今後どんどんと取っていこうと思うので、ぜひ気になる方は今のうちにチャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。そしてまた、SASAステークプール、SASAステークプール2というステーキングプールも、運営しておりますので、僕の活動を応援してくださる方は、本当にご委任いただけますと大変嬉しいです。それでは次の動画で会いましょう。